Welcome to Vermonters in Business, where we highlight some of the very best business leaders in our state and the amazing things they're doing in their communities. All right, people of Vermont, welcome to a very special edition of Vermonters in Business. I'm going to coin the term of Vermonters in Business Workshop. I've had kind of this idea in my head. We have a lot of very cool folks that do a lot of interesting work that help Vermont businesses, particularly, folks that do things like marketing and sales trainings, all that type of stuff that we as business owners always need more and more help with, whenever we can, any way we can stand out, any way we can help. And so I've got a special guest with me today. Galen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, Drew. Thanks for inviting us in here today. Appreciate it.
You got it. If you're not familiar with Galen, he lives in the St. Albans, Vermont area. Currently, he is the CEO of Amped and Brand Gen, both sort of, specialize with B2B marketing. Galen, give us like a quick little high level, what is B2B marketing?
Sure. So Amped is my consultancy, and I help companies to understand and implement best practices in two domains. One is inbound marketing, a term that HubSpot, if you're familiar with HubSpot software, folks will be. HubSpot coined, and their annual event is still called Inbound. And inbound marketing to me is B2B content marketing best practices. How do we define and produce content that is easily found by our future customers, can be shared on social, can be used to help us get found and then convert folks into leads on your website and then nurture those leads until they're ready to buy.
Awesome.
Inbound marketing. And then the other side of the house is account-based RevOps, which is this jargony sort of thing. But as a B2B company,
I'm in the insurance industry, so we're used to jargon.
Right? Exactly. Well, it's always, the buzzwords help you to charge more, right? I guess. So account-based RevOps is most B2B companies have some number of accounts that really ought to be their customers, if only that account really understood, the decision makers buying group within that target account really understood the value that they could bring.
Sure.
So account-based RevOps flips the funnel, it's often called, where instead of driving leads down the funnel until we have a deal, here we start with a potential opportunity or a deal in the form of an account. And then how do we activate multiple channels to support our sales prospecting in order to make the right decision makers in that account aware and educated around what we can do? Nice. Yeah.
And then Brand Gen?
Brand Gen snaps within account-based RevOps. So long ago, I owned a local company called New Breed Revenue. It was New Breed Marketing. That company became the number one HubSpot partner. So HubSpot has software partners that sell their stuff, right? So exited that business. As I was exiting that business, one of the last things I did, I was onboarding a medical image software company in Chicago, running a workshop, buyer persona development, sort of extracting what do we need to know in order for the team at New Breed to help you with this thing called inbound marketing. Back in the day, and get them onboarded with HubSpot. And so they were explaining, we do this type of advertising, we do that type of advertising, we do these trade shows. The CEO looked at me and said, should that stuff be talking to this HubSpot inbound marketing thing here?
Right.
And I knew I was exiting New Breed. I was looking for that sort of next thing to do. And the answer to that became brandgen.io.
Gotcha.
So ampedpipelinemarketing.com is my day job. I help companies around the world. One company in Vermont is buried in leads and is doing proposals as fast as they can right now with inbound marketing. And then
good problem to have there, people. If you're trying to get buried in leads, and most of us are, Galen's your guy.
I'd love to talk to you because I love it. It's very results oriented, this type of marketing. The reaction I'm looking for is, oh my gosh, finally marketing that makes sense, right? Very numerically driven, very logical. Right. So Brand Gen became the outcome of sort of answering that question. It is an advertising tool that takes signals out of HubSpot and then turns that into advertising around the open web. And because of the way it's designed, in part it was designed because we had a lot of experience at New Breed with IT services firms managed service provider. So this idea of locality and reaching the right decision makers within a very precise location became one sort of capability within brand gen. And people are clever, like yourself, who say, wait a minute, I could use that to sort of drive super affordable, easy to run advertising campaigns in a very precise location in a very precise way.
Yeah, so Galen and I kind of dovetail pretty well because a strategy that we use in our business is inbound marketing, and we create a lot of content. It's a big initiative of mine, and we kind of follow the philosophy of they ask, you answer, where we're putting a lot of content out there of what our customers might be asking about insurance. It's a real effective strategy. You're looking for ways that people search, and so they can find you. When they open up Google, and it's a great way to do it. The other aspect of that is using some sort of paid advertising to help kind of proactively get out there and reach. And so Galen and I met because he stumbled across one of my very, very simple Google ads. If you're familiar with Google, it can get very complex. And he took a screenshot and he fired it off, I think, to our contact us on page on our website, and said, hey, I saw your ad, this is awesome. There's not a lot of local businesses doing this type of work, but I think this could be a little bit better. I've got this cool tool. If you want to hop on a quick phone call with me, I'd love to help out another Vermont business.
Yeah. And that's really, I would love to be helping Vermont businesses more. It's just, you want to contribute to the local economy. You want to contribute to success,
and I love the approach, right? Because it wasn't like, you shouldn't do this, right? It's like, oh, you came across this ad of ours, and recognized what we're trying to do, and that might be a fit. And say, hey, I'm right down the street from you. You're up the street on Upper Weldon in St. Albans. I'm down on the Georgia Shore. Let's connect up and see if this might work, might be a fit. And I think that's awesome. That's the spirit behind Vermonters in Business right there.
There you go. And here we are having fun.
Yep. Exactly. So Galen, how many years in marketing do you have?
Oh gosh. Interesting story. I was we're going to go back in time a little bit. Yep. So way back when at Bellows Free Academy in St. Albans, happened to be just really good at physics and math, like a little bit of a standout.
Sure.
And when you're really good at physics and math, you often go to the state university and go to school for engineering. So I went to school for engineering at the University of Vermont, mechanical engineering, and had a really good time. Escaped with an engineering degree.
Yep.
It was touch and go.
Yeah, I can relate. Yeah.
And then worked for a company called Hayward Tyler outside of Costco in Colchester.
Yep.
Started there as an engineer. And when you're in the engineering team, I used to think I was sort of special. Like I got recruited over into sales, and as you mature, you realize really the way things were, right? So when you come in on Monday morning and all you want to talk about is the Bruins, right?
Right.
Everybody else in the engineering group is like, will you please just shut up?
We didn't watch that game at all. Yeah.
Just please shut up. So you get pushed into sales.
Yeah.
And then had some things go well there. They paid for me to get my MBA at night, which was fine. And then was sort of handed this product line, hey, fix this sort of go-to-market strategy. And that went well, and ended up VP of sales and marketing there. And so that was sort of the first turn to the dark side. And then went to work for a local company in the e-learning space, VP of marketing. That company went down in the dot-com bust, which threw me out onto the street with a couple of small kids. So you become a consultant, which is what you do when you don't want to tell your mom you're unemployed.
Yeah.
Right? And that became the genesis of New Breed, which turned into sort of a local agency. And then my background was B2B tech. And if you got up really early in the morning and you drove to Boston, you could have meetings and then come back really late at night. So morphed it into a B2B thing because I was like that. And then from there, entered the HubSpot ecosystem and off to the races. So I don't know, 30 years or something. It's been a very long time. So
how long in the HubSpot ecosystem?
Oh gosh, Ben, I think I would have to say 15 years. We were in very early into HubSpot, and the founder of HubSpot, one of the founders, Brian Halligan, had gone to school at UVM, so he was sort of up this way.
Sure.
But I'd filled out a form on HubSpot, and I got a call from Brian Halligan, the CEO and founder, and he wanted to come up and visit. Now, back in that day, most HubSpot partners were individual consultants. So all of a sudden, like there's an agency with like a real team that had like real logos, SAP, Oracle, and such on the website. So he wanted to come up and meet, and I'm like, fine. And you've heard one of the Marx brothers said, I wouldn't join a club that would have me. Have you heard that?
I have, yeah.
I kind of had this feeling like, how important are you if you're willing to fly to Vermont to see me? Like, it's got to be a scam. We're nobody, right? But but he did. He came up and we met, and it was pretty exciting. Pretty exciting.
That's
time.
awesome. Yeah. And so, when folks first want to get started kind of in that B2B, let's say you're a business owner and you're like, I don't know, like where should I even begin? What's kind of your advice there?
Sure. Two things. If you go to ampedpipeline.com, go to ideas. There's recorded webinars you can just watch, no form.
Sure.
So then there are planning templates in the webinars. Fill out a form, get the templates. So you could start there. You can also get a free instance of HubSpot. With a free instance of HubSpot comes HubSpot Academy over in the right-hand side of the menu. And I encourage young people all the time, if you're looking for a fun career that's in demand, it's, in my view, like the equivalent of a free master's degree in digital marketing in this HubSpot Academy.
Yeah, totally agree. I've taken a few of their courses myself, and it's just one of those things where it's like, how can we stand out as a business? And we had sort of stumbled into HubSpot as well, and landed on that HubSpot Academy, and it was just like a wealth of resources right in front of us. And their end game obviously is they want you to use their CRM system, but like you said, they're going way beyond what they need to there. There's a lot of depth there and a lot of knowledge that you can just absorb.
It's fantastic. And their annual conference Inbound, you can attend in part online. I think pieces of that might be free. So if you have time and or you have someone you can assign, those are two places you can go and get information. If you want to accelerate the whole thing and just like really make it happen, then you obviously hire someone like me, fractional CMO or whatever you want to call it, and we sort of get you rolling quickly and efficiently. So,
what level? That's a good term, fractional. CMO. It seems to be kind of like the hot item right now. At least I've been seeing it in a lot of different places, whether it was a CMO or a CFO or something like that. Some sort of fractional piece. If you're a business owner, where would you? Do you have any thoughts around like when you would bring on either a fractional CMO versus say somebody like a full-on person that you would hire to come in and do your marketing?
So that's interesting. If you happen to go find Galen Dow, GalenDow on LinkedIn, and you look at my profile, you look at sort of the testimonials, whatever that section is called. You're going to see there's quite a few young people there that I've been fortunate to mentor along the way, and I really enjoy that process. So sometimes what happens is, as the fractional CMO, you hire a junior person, and my job is to get them to the point where they're proficient and independent. I go away and they have their wings and you're on your own. That's sort of for a very small company like the situation I like. And then you're not tied to me. You're building it yourself. You own it yourself. You can run it yourself. The one customer that I mentioned that I serve, they're in Winooski, Vermont, tech company. I think they're like 5 people, and they do a lot of the content themselves. And, I just help them. We meet once a week and we just step by step. And now the lead flow, I've got timeline and I've got a budget, I need a quote one after the other, but it does take time to build this engine. And sometimes part of these conversations is, what's a key to success or where do people fail? My nemesis is if the person at the top is a member of what I call the strategy of the month club. Right. No sooner do you get rolling than, hey, I just read this article in the Times or whatever, and off we go in a different direction. And, to execute an effective business strategy, you need to build the structure in a way that it is sustainable over a very long time. Much longer than you assume going in. Because it's going to take you longer to get results. And either of the strategies that I help people with, it always takes longer than people. So.
It's funny. One of the resources I follow on social media, and then you reminded me when you said this of the marketing of the month type person, and the other kind of pitfall that I feel like happens a lot is kind of like a marketing by committee type of a deal, where you have like all these opinions all over the place, and it's like and all of a sudden you have this thing that just looks like it was made with 50 different opinions, and not like delivering the core message that you're trying to deliver.
Absolutely, yeah. At New Breed, we did a fair amount of branding, so messaging, logo, and you would run it. It's so subjective, really glad, honestly, to leave that part of the business behind, and move into something that's numerically, logical and numerically based. But for sure, committee decisions can be tough. Yeah.
So when you're kind of sitting, from you're using your background, your kind of knowledge base, what are some things that you wish you saw more from Vermont businesses with their marketing, or with their kind of techniques?
This will be difficult to say.
Yeah.
In a kind way.
Sure.
But I've tried here in Vermont. Send emails, prospect, right? And just a little bit more open-minded.
Yeah.
We've done it this way forever. Or I've got, somebody who does that, but they really don't.
Right.
And it's just sort of, I get disappointed with it because you're talking to a company in Austria or Florida or Chicago,
right?
And they're a little bit more curious. I don't know how to say this in a way, but and there is an element of, if you're from out of state, your IQ point jumps 20 points. I think. How could someone from here be any good to help us do this?
I see what you're saying. I
don't know how to say it, but there are digital transformation solutions that can significantly move the needle on the revenue side. And I just wish companies would, pay attention to it.
I think that curiosity is a big piece of it. And I love that you referenced the inbound conference. A lot of times, some of my best ideas and some of our best ideas are things that we have seen or run into at other conferences.
Right.
Or whether it was a vendor or whatnot. We're not fast to make changes or jump into things. We're kind of a long game with that. But, once it's on my radar, on my brain, then it's like, okay, like I've heard this before. I've heard this a few times. Then all of a sudden you start playing with it and you're like, hey, this kind of works.
There's something there, right?
Yeah. And that does come from experience of just going out and checking something out that might be new. And I could sit in the office and there's plenty of work to be done, but it's important to keep pushing the mindset forward.
What % of your time is on new initiatives,
right?
And are you so mired in the day to day that you can't take a minute, step back, and look out, and try and discern what might be an opportunity for significant improvement,
for sure. And so one of the cool ways that we are using brand gen, and I referenced that Galen had reached out to us, and so I don't have any affiliation with the brand gen other than the fact that I use it, and Galen was nice enough to reach out to us one day and say, hey, I think this ad you're running could be a little bit better, and I took him up on his offer, checked out his tool, and agreed. We kind of use it for a very localized approach. I forget the exact term that you like to call it, Galen, but we're running display ads, using Galen software brand gen and on a lot of local news sites, and it's just kind of a nice, effective tool way to put kind of some general brand awareness out there of us in the insurance space, and where people that like to buy insurance locally are looking.
Exactly. Easily and affordably. I think we've sort of dialed it all the way down. So with a couple of clicks, it's really wired around certain strategies. So a tool like Google, you go in and it can do a million different things, and ours is designed to do some very specific things easily.
And that was always my frustration. It's because we certainly have run search ads and other things, and still do alongside of what we do here. But it always seemed like when we got to the display ads, so these are the type of ads when you go to a website and they show up from those people. For those that don't know, it always seemed like it got very complex very quickly there.
Right.
And if you don't know what you're doing, you're spending a lot of money on clicks and things and displays that might not be hitting where you want them to hit.
And where are these ads going? And and Google, of course, has their AI
Yeah.
And for certain strategies, I just want it on these 10 websites.
Right.
I don't want your AI to look at the Burlington Free Press or 7 Days and go, oh, that website looks like all these others, and off it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's very difficult to sort of throttle that back and say, with this sort of decision making, this is the result that I want.
Yeah, and I loved how we could tailor that down and we tailor right into the zip codes that we kind of wanted to target and go after. And it really was a pretty simple setup. The hardest part for me was putting together the actual ads themselves.
Right.
With display ads, there's just so many different sizes, to make sure that you have available options. And so, there's a lot of tools out there that can help with that. But that was my initial hurdle, was how do I create all these ads or get them ready so we're ready to roll?
Yeah.
But after that, it was a few clicks and guidance from Galen, and we were running ads, like you said, all over Burlington Free Press, WCAX, types of places, for the towns that we want to do business in, targeting the people we want to go after. So it was very cool.
Love it. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Galen, what about going forward kind of in 2024? What do you see from some marketing trends out there that, we should be aware of?
Well, AI, of course, right?
Yeah.
Everything AI. And
that's softball, right?
yeah. And of course, HubSpot is integrating AI. And I think there's more to do. It's basically one of the AI engines filtered into their tool. And one of my worries is, inbound marketing relies on getting found in the search box, right?
Agree.
So you're seeing people say, oh, I can produce 10 times as much search-friendly content.
Yeah.
Now it's not very good content. And in fact, at Inbound, they had an AI expert, this fellow who'd been studying it a long time. And how many people have tried AI? Everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because that's our world. How many liked the result? Hardly any hands. It's okay for creating an outline of something, but you really need to take it and polish it to produce something really meaningful and uniquely valuable, which is what you're hunting for. And his logic, which I thought was interesting, was, well, they went and they scraped everything. So what they've created is a C+ average student.
True.
You know what I mean?
That makes a lot of sense.
More selective on the quality of the input.
Yeah.
And that's where your hallucinations come from, and misinformation and all that sort of thing.
I love that. I never thought of it like that, but it makes a lot of sense. If you're scraping everything, right?
And then you average it out, you're going to get basically an average output.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that will improve over time, but people pushing a ton of content, is it going to get tougher to get that ranking? In HubSpot, you can write a sales email, with AI, and it's long and it's ridiculous. And theoretically, it looks at your website and creates something, and a long way to go there. But people now, I can push the send email button for sales prospecting 10 times more, and so you're flooding the zone of content marketing with this stuff. Now, the companies that I work with, B2B, tends to be, you're over here on the long tail. You know what I mean? You're not selling speakers. The people I feel sorry for is recipes. I look for the recipe, and you get the history of ham because they're trying to rank with all this content and all these ads everywhere.
It was a clear day in the it was a clear day in Italy, and I was a 20-year-old international. Yeah.
And on we go. Look, I just want
recipe.
Baked brisket or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Where is the recipe part, right?
Yeah.
And that's designed that way because it ranks with Google. And now you can ask the question, and it could be worth a little bit of time. There's the Google Search Generative Experience. If you go to YouTube, search generative experience keynote, about a 10 or 20 minute sort of intro to here's where we're headed with this.
Yeah.
And where they're headed is, we're going to try and answer in the top of your search, and then we'll give you stuff below that. So if you rely on that search, you know what I mean? Are your search results, going to be down? Now, the types of companies, tech, B2B, whatever it is, that's not the type of thing that AI is necessarily really good at keeping up with, particularly since it's about 3 years old since they did the last sort of scrub. So I don't think it's going to affect folks that I work with too much, but it's certainly going to affect, others. And that's where, flooding the zone on inbound or flooding the zone on sales emails, in our inbox. The nice thing about brand gen is hard not to reach them with display ads as they're moving across.
Right.
The web. So it is sort of an end around all that. And we're seeing people sort of pick up on, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Around that.
Yeah. And, really the key with using a product like that is thinking about your audience, like where are they visiting,
Yeah.
and where do I want to deliver to them?
Yeah. Buzzword, digital watering holes.
Yep.
Right.
I like it.
Where do they aggregate, your little herd of future customers, right?
Yeah,
that's can you
cool.
learn, from digital watering holes, right?
Yeah, no, I think very similar along the lines of AI. It's definitely this evolving thing, and I use it. We use it, for various pieces of things, and it's hard to duplicate your voice, and so the ways that I have enjoyed using it have been, usually involved, if I filmed a video or something and taking that transcript and throwing it into Chat GPT and asking for a YouTube description or something like that, because then it's built off of your voice, since you're the one that filmed and made this recording. It's already has that sort of backbone, and it just helps you do the rest of it. And there's plenty of tweaking that needs to happen in there, but I'm sure it's a thing that will keep sort of evolving, as we go. And like we sort of talked about before about keeping an open mind, with my opinion with AI is, you got to test it and play with it to see kind of what's possible down the road.
And how's it useful for you? And it can it can compress deliverable timelines, but it definitely needs, as you say, your own voice and to be polished.
Yeah, because you can feel it when it's like a social media post or something that it was generated by, I don't know. It's just it stands out.
It's like a junior in high school term paper to me when I read,
yeah, no, it's true.
Business insurance is very important because
yeah, exactly. And whenever I tried to use it with that, it's like, it's amazing some of the concepts and things that it understands and pulls, but it does read very, like you said, a junior in the research paper.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of topics. Galen, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on, discuss about today?
No, I think you covered, all the bases. Drew, really appreciate being invited on. It's always nice to share time with you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I said before, Galen's a great resource, and we're thankful for that. He reached out one day, and like I said, you could easily tell that his heart's in the right place. He wants to help Vermont businesses, kind of grow and improve. And so, if you have questions, we'll definitely make sure that we have Galen's contact on here. But don't hesitate. Connect with him on LinkedIn. Connect with him where else?
Ampedpipeline.com or brandgen.io.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very
All right,
cool.
Galen. Thanks, man.
Have a great day. Stay warm, bud.
Yeah, you too.